Hello friends, welcome to GS Core, and as always we'll go through daily current affairs of today is 28th February 2024. So we'll go through the current affairs of 28th February 2024, and through it what we will do is we will look how MCQs are to be solved. सबसे पहले let us look at the list of topics. तो first is 10,000 genome project. उसके बाद है green ammonia. It is potential question. It is basically a potential question because something new has happened in the field of climate change, basically resisting climate change. Then mRNA vaccine, something in which UPSC was very interested when it came to COVID, and questions were asked on it. And then the launch vehicle UHV M3, and after that we'll look into the space stations of different countries. Why? Because we have decided to have our own space station. Prime Minister basically has declared the same. Okay, so first and foremost about genome, 10,000 genome. Okay, what basically is 10,000 genome? 10,000 genome is a project in which 20,000 blood samples will be kept in repository, and DNA decoding or genome decoding, basically speaking, genome decoding of them will happen. Why is this genome decoding necessary? First and foremost, understand that India is a diverse country. Okay? Not only with respect to culture, language, religion, but also with respect to human genes. Okay? And if we have to have a good knowledge with respect to how this population has to be sustained, or how resistance to disease of Indian population has to be built, then it is very important to study human genes or human genes of Indians. Now, for that purpose, we have basically started this project of 10,000 genome or genome 10,000. Okay. It is basically a collaboration of 20 institutes, which include prestigious institutions like Indian Institute of Sciences, Center for Cellular and Microbiology, and many more. Okay. As I told you, the focus of it is to study diversity of Indian genetics. To study the diversity of Indian genetics and understand how Indians could be kept away from diseases. Also, what this study will do is, even if the person comes in contact with the disease, then right diagnosis of that particular disease could take place. Focused drugs and therapies could be administered to the concerned person. Now let us look at the question, my dear friends. Consider the following statements regarding 10,000 genome project. All right, what are the statements provided? The 10,000 genome project aim to create reference database of whole genome sequencing specifically for India. Absolutely correct. We have just discussed that. Okay, so it is creating a depository. It is creating a database for the purpose of understanding the genetics of Indians. Okay, also diversity in genetics. Okay, second, The project was primarily focused on sequencing of genome of individuals from diverse population groups, okay, to capture genetic variations unique to India 100%. 100%. ठीक है. This project all the way becomes more important because of the diversity that Indians have. All right, and studying medicine, studying administration of medicine for Indians is basically impossible without studying the genome of Indian. ठीक है. तो what do we see here? First statement is correct, second is also correct, the answer is C. The answer basically is C, both 1 and 2. Moving to green ammonia. Now first and foremost, what is ammonia? Ammonia is a compound made up of nitrogen and hydrogen. ठीक है. It has a very pungent smell. It basically has a very pungent smell. But it is basically, it is also, if you take into consideration, ammonia is a fuel. Ammonia basically is a fuel. देखो, at this point of time, we are not using ammonia as such, as a fuel, not to a very large scale. We do have a technology for the purpose of creating ammonia, artificially creating ammonia. That technology basically is called as SMR. ठीक है. SMR, which actually मतलब full form of it is steam methane reforming. But problem with this, with respect to this technique, is this particular technique first and foremost is not energy friendly. So we see carbon dioxide to a large extent released by the use of this particular technique. All right, green ammonia basically is when you produce ammonia using Haber-Bosch technique. ठीक है. So this in a way reduces the contribution of carbon dioxide into atmosphere. All right, it reduces the contribution of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. It is based on isolating hydrogen from water through electrolysis and then trapping nitrogen from air and bringing them with each other and thus producing ammonia. This technique will produce ammonia, and this ammonia basically will be used as fuel. So it is a sustainable and renewable source of energy. All right, source of energy. If we take into consideration storage of ammonia, storage of ammonia is not so difficult actually. ठीक है. Ammonia is stored in liquid form, and for storage of ammonia in liquid form, what is necessary? It is necessary to refrigerate it at minus 32 degrees Celsius, which with respect to modern science, it is not such a big problem. It is actually not such a big problem. ठीक है. Ammonia basically can be used for the purpose of fueling engines, and energy cells. ठीक है. And energy cells to produce electricity. So it will also basically become source of electricity. ठीक है. देखो, using ammonia in place of conventional fuel will be, according to estimate, for the first time seen in maritime industry. Why? Because it is in that way not problematic and safe. All right, not problematic and safe, and also less heavy to carry. less heavy to carry when it comes to ships. चलो देखते हैं क्वेश्चन नाउ. दिस वाज ऑल अबाउट ग्रीन एमोनिया. दिस वाज ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन दैट यू रिक्वायर टू मार्क द आंसर करेक्ट. इसी में से क्वेश्चन बनेगा इफ द क्वेश्चन इज ऑन ग्रीन एमोनिया. लेट अस सी द क्वेश्चन. ग्रीन अमोनिया is manufactured using steam reformation of methane for production of hydrogen. नहीं, that is conservative technique, that is the old technique, traditional technique. Now what we use? Haber-Bosch technique. ठीक है, तो first statement is wrong obviously. Green ammonia can be used effectively for storing renewable energy. 100% correct. Second statement is correct. Our answer therefore is B2 only. Let us move on to the third topic and the question on it, and it is mRNA vaccine. Now mRNA vaccine has been in news for the last few years. Okay, it has been in news for the last few years. Why is it in news today? Because a scientist in UK, what he has discovered? He has basically discovered that slips occurring in mRNA can be basically avoided. Now what are slips and what is basically mRNA? So देखो, mRNA vaccine is moving away from traditional vaccine. Now in traditional vaccine, what do we see? In traditional vaccines, what do we basically see? We see use of either weakened or dead, microscopic organism to build up the immunity. Vaccine basically works on the conception that a small dose of the microscopic organism or basically the disease, what it will do is it will help the body to create T cells which are basically soldiers of the body. ठीक है, फिर अगर attack is from a better version or more deadly version, body is ready for the deadly version. Body is basically ready for the deadly version. That is what vaccination, that is what the idea of vaccination is, and that is how traditional vaccines basically work. Done. अब आते हैं इस पॉइंट पे. लेट अस नाउ कम टू व्हाट इज mRNA. सो mRNA is basically messenger RNA. ठीक है, and what it does is when the vaccine is given in the form of mRNA ना, this particular protein, a particular protein in mRNA, ठीक है, it focuses on the spike protein of a virus. Spike protein essentially is the covering layer in the virus which safeguards the actual body of the virus. ठीक है, so mRNA protein, what it will do is it will basically dissolve the spike protein, and as it dissolves the spike protein now, the virus actually will get exposed, and this will lead to elimination of virus. ठीक है, elimination of virus in the body. This is how mRNA basically works. ठीक है, mRNA basically works. Now sometimes what happens is in this particular transition a slip develops. It develops because it may develop because of any chemical reason. देखो, RNA हुआ, DNA हुआ, ठीक है, virus हुआ, they all are composed of certain chemicals. They all are basically composed out of certain chemicals, and it is basically, my dear friends, these chemicals where maybe a particular transition fails, and therefore effective use of mRNA does not happen. ठीक है, now what are UK scientists saying? UK scientists are saying कि we are basically moving towards creation of such technology which will avoid the slip. All right, which will basically avoid the slip. All right, Let us now look into the question provided on this information. Consider the following statements regarding mRNA vaccine and their potential for fine tuning. Right. First statement: mRNA vaccines work by introducing genetic instructions to body cells, which can occasionally lead to harmless slips in the translation process, resulting in unintended proteins being produced. Absolutely correct. ठीक है. स्लिप में क्या होता है? As I told you some kind of, if I may use that word, chemical locha happens. ठीक है. Some kind of chemical locha happens. ठीक है. तो slip is something that has to be avoided. Second statement: slip can be entirely prevented through meticulous mRNA sequencing. Meticulous mRNA sequencing mRNA sequencing, advanced ribosome engineering technique, and quality control mechanism within the cells transnational mechanism. Yes, this statement is absolutely correct. This statement is also correct. ठीक है. देखो, when we say fine tuning the slip, मतलब किस तरह से slip has to be avoided ना. So these are the method. Which are the methods? So a better sequencing design has to be made. ठीक है. Better genetic engineering has to take place, and also a focused attention has to be made with respect to quality of the mRNA produced. So both the statements are correct, but what we see is cause and effect relations. Cause and effect relation is not established, hence we'll mark B as the option, correct option. ठीक है. Both statements are correct, but B does not give explanation of statement 2 does not give the correct explanation of statement 1. All right, now let us move to space technology. And India is moving at lightning speed, I must say, with respect to the space technology. Prime Minister, what he has done is he has announced 4 Indian Air Force pilots who will basically be astronauts in the Gaganyaan project. ठीक है. Hence we see the discussion on launching vehicle of Gaganyaan, basically the launching vehicle of Gaganyaan. ठीक है. What is HLVM3? ठीक है, which is actually at the center of discussion. So it is basically human rated, full form is human rated version of LVM3. ठीक है. If you take into consideration what LVMP is, it is launch vehicle mark. ठीक है. It is basically as I was telling you now, it is a launching vehicle. Launching vehicle मतलब it will help lift the Gaganyaan. Into space. It will help lift the Gaganyaan into space. ठीक है. If we take into consideration only HLVM3, what do we know with respect to it? It is derived from geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle mark. ठीक है. मतलब it was created out of a launch vehicle that is considered till this point of time the most important launch vehicle. ठीक है. GSLV जो है Mark 3, GSLV Mark III is, you can say, the most difficult launch vehicle to be built. ठीक है, most difficult launch vehicle to be built because it has to actually carry maximum weight when it comes to launching the satellite and also stationing the satellite in a particular position in space. ठीक है, तो HLVM is an advanced version of GSLV. ठीक है, and this particular satellite is also equipped with, this particular launch vehicle is also equipped with crew escape system, so that as far as possible no human loss happens in terms of launching. ठीक है, in terms of launching and in terms of transportation of the crew into the space. ठीक है, other than this we also have something called as orbital module in Gaganyaan. Orbital module in Gaganyaan. What basically is orbital module? So it comprises of crew module and service module. All right, and this is the primary aircraft. This is basically the primary spacecraft, not aircraft, primary spacecraft. ठीक है, तो हम लोग गगनयान जो स्पेसक्राफ्ट की बात कर रहे हैं ना, जो एक तरह से स्पेस में स्टिल रह के हमें इंफॉर्मेशन प्रोवाइड करेगा, इट विल बी टू दिस ऑर्बिटल मॉड्यूल. ठीक है, इट विल बी टू दिस ऑर्बिटल मॉड्यूल एंड व्हाट ऑल will be part of it, or what all it will contain. It will basically contain all the things necessary which are required for life support of the astronaut. ठीक है, also things necessary for crew interface and creating a situation through which re-entry of the capsule happens. Re-entry of the capsule basically happens. This particular part is also essential from the point of view of operationability of the whole spacecraft. ठीक है, so this is, as I told you ना, the most important part. ठीक है, it will contain thermal regulators, it will contain power generators, other things which are basically necessary to carry out this operation. ठीक है, then we also have crew escape system. Now this, by the name itself you must have guessed, इसका प्राइमरी फोकस क्या है? इसका प्राइमरी फोकस है, the primary focus of it is to assist the safety of astronauts. ठीक है, it helps them in getting out of the system during emergency times. ठीक है, इमरजेंसी इजेक्शन में इट विल हेल्प. ओके, लेट अस नाउ लुक एट द क्वेश्चन. कंसिडर द फॉलोइंग स्टेटमेंट्स. HLVM3 is new rocket consisting of liquid semi-cryogenic engine specifically developed for Gaganyaan. It consists of not only liquid but also solid. So if we look at the fuels used, तो हम लोग देखते हैं कि solid fuel is used for the purpose of propulsion. Second is liquid fuel is used and cryogenic fuel is used. Cryogenic basically is liquid fuel at a very low temperature. That is cryogenic. Operating at a very low temperature. Alright, operating at a very low temperature. Because solid fuel basically is required for first stage. Problem with solid fuel is you cannot regulate it. Once it starts burning, it starts burning. Okay, liquid fuel on the other hand, it can be controlled. Its supply can be controlled and hence the energy coming out of it can be controlled. And liquid fuel is the one which is used at later stage, especially when it comes to stationing, positioning and stationing of a spacecraft. Alright, चलो, first statement therefore is wrong. Second statement देख लेते हैं. HLVM3 consists of escape crew escape system proved by set of quick acting high burn rate solid motors. Absolutely. Okay. So it is seen to it that the crew escape system does not burn out. Crew escape system does not burn out. Third statement, service module is pressurized structure which will be used to provide necessary support to crew module while in the orbit. Service module is basically something that will provide necessary support, but it is not pressurized structure, it is unpressurized structure. Unpressurized structure, not a pressurized structure. So third statement is also wrong. So what do we see? What is the correct answer? यहाँ पे ना how many statements are correct? A is the answer. Only one statement basically is correct. Only one statement is basically correct. Let us move on to question number 4. Question number 4 talks about space stations across the world. Now why are we looking into this? We are looking into this because Indian Prime Minister basically has stated that India will have its own space station by 2035. This is very ambitious, but it is also a step in right direction. It is also the step in right direction. So if we take into consideration space stations now, so different countries have different space stations. For example, Skylab was the space station of United States. In the same way, Mir is the space station of Russia. It was established by Soviet Union, but at this point of time, later on what happened is till 2001, till it became decommissioned, it was the space station of Russia. Okay. Even China has a space station, Tiangong. And most importantly, there is ISS. It is International Space Station. Alright. International Space Station which was jointly built and it is jointly used by US, Russia, European Union, Space Agency of European Union, Japan, and also CSA. Okay. So these are basically important space stations. CSA का मतलब है China. I'm so sorry, मैंने CSA लिख दिया. CSA basically is China. Alright. If you take into consideration various space station, ना तो it is a factual question related to it. Such kind of questions do have appear. ठीक है. तो if we match them, तो first is correctly matched. Mir is of Russia, was of Russia basically, but ठीक है. Skylab EU नहीं, it was of United States, not EU. ठीक है. तो second is wrong. Tailong China, absolutely correct. First is correct, third is correct, second is wrong. How many of the matches are correctly, how many of the pairs are correctly matched? 2. The answer is B. Alright, thank you so much guys for being part of this discussion. In the description now you will find the link to ThinkU, which is basically your daily quota of current affairs. It is written in a very simple format, hence it is easy to digest. So do download it. It will help you a lot. Thank you so much. Bye.